Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted the number 1 would be Deadpool and Wolverine, number 2 would be It Ends With Us, number 3 would be Borderlands, number 4 would be Twisters, and number 5 would be Cuckoo. And I got 2 out of 5 of my predictions right for this weekend. Here are the shoutouts for the people who did get it right. Congratulations. I definitely put way too much faith into Cuckoo. I think I was just, slim chance hoping that Cuckoo would have a little bit of a boost just based off of a lot of people going to see Longlegs and, marketing before that film. The trailer for Cuckoo's in front of that because it's neon. Maybe would catch the same kind of wave. I put too much faith in it, obviously. And then another movie held on way better than one of the newer releases, and obviously you know what that is, so let's just dive into the overall top 10. Now, it was looking a little dicey for a second. It was like, man, it really could go either way, but at the end of the day, what squeaked ahead was Deadpool and Wolverine holding over very well, once again making $54 million for this 3-day weekend. Domestically, that adds to a total of $494 million. So for the MCU, it has now outgrossed Captain America Civil War and Iron Man 3 by $86 million because they clocked out kind of around the same number. It has outgrossed Multiverse of Madness by $83 million, Captain Marvel by $68 million, Wakanda Forever by $41 million, and Age of Ultron by $35 million. It's now sitting behind the original Avengers film by $129 million. So not necessarily a guarantee it will outgross it next weekend like a lot of these other films we've been mentioning. Could be next weekend, could be the next weekend. I'm thinking more so the next weekend. We'll wait and see, obviously, on that. And then worldwide, I wanted to offer a little bit of a correction. Last weekend, I wrote it down in my notes, but I totally missed it in the record. I got so caught up in it's already this here and it's already this over here. I completely just missed out on mentioning that it was not worldwide the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. It had entered the top 3, which was, like I said, it was in my notes to mention that. The fact that it got that high up so quickly obviously is, fantastic and, record breaking and all that. It just didn't get there yet. Worldwide, it is sitting at $1.29 billion right now, which places it $53 million over Oppenheimer, which used to be the second highest grossing R-rated film worldwide. So now technically this film is the number 2, and it now sits behind the champ Joker by $35 million. So next weekend for sure, it may not outgross the original Avengers next weekend domestically, but worldwide next weekend it will be the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. So a little bit of a correction from last week, and I'm sorry I missed that and tried to hype it up a bit more than I should have. Obviously, the other things I hyped it up for are valid and correct. Just not necessarily that, but it will be soon. So there you go. Correction completed. I'm no longer a fool. Now for the MCU totals, it outgrossed Volume 3 by $184 million, Ragnarok by $179 million, Wakanda Forever $176, Volume 2 by $160 million, Homecoming $151 million, and Multiverse of Madness by $77 million. It's now behind the first Captain Marvel by $100 million, and once it outgrosses that film, it will be in the top 10 highest grossing worldwide runs for the MCU. So it's just there. It's just right there, you know what I mean? And that's pretty damn special. But, we've been talking about how special the success of Deadpool and Wolverine is. Let's go into our number 2 film, which damn near almost defeated it. In fact, when official numbers come out Monday, official numbers, I mean, hell, there might be a chance it collects even more. Who knows? That would be It Ends With Us. Now, some of you, when you were making your predictions, were kind of aiming a little low. And, I can understand why you might think that. But like I kind of explained when I made my predictions, I work at a bookstore. I have heard numerous times many people coming up to our counter asking, do you have any Colleen Hoover? Where's your Colleen Hoover? Do you have this specific title? She's kind of a big name. It may not be, so mainstream that everyone has heard of her, but there is a select audience, BookTok, book clubs, whatever, that have and will be making their trip to the movies, once this year just to see this. So it was no surprise to me at all that it did this well. It's why so many people were like, it could even take out Deadpool and Wolverine because it's that kind of big with select circles. It opened to $50 million this weekend. So with an initial production budget of $25 million, domestically, it has already doubled that completely. And then you add in the worldwide total of $80 million, and they've already tripled it, and they're $20 million away from quadrupling that budget. So, making a very, very modest budgeted drama film is paying off. And obviously it has the benefit of it's already kind of an established popular thing. It's not an original film because, based on a pre-existing IP is probably the wrong word for it, but just a pre-existing work. So it's not like it's a big win for like original films. But as far as like dramas, this is like, it is at least showing like, yes, it's based on a popular thing already, but people will still go see like a good drama. You know what I mean? I didn't really necessarily care for this movie though. So when I say that, I understand this movie's kind of split down the middle as far as reviews. I'm totally fine with some people enjoying it. Like, I didn't hate this movie. I'm sure there might be someone who does. It was just kind of like, it's not for me. I think when I was watching it, if the power cut out and I wasn't able to finish the film, I would have been disappointed. Like, oh, I was engaged enough to want to see where it goes. It's just a lot of the things as far as like the filmmaking and certain writing things, just certain things, when you're making a movie that I didn't necessarily agree with, and it was kind of like, okay, it's pretty typical for these kind of movies, whatever. But, some people are enjoying this, though. Some people are walking out like, you know what, I had low expectations and I enjoyed it. So either way, some people do want like a drama, and this will maybe pave the way for, investing more in those. You just need the right actor, the right kind of marketing approach, subject matter, whatever. As far as it's going to be hard because it's not like there's any other Colleen Hoover movie adaptations to compare this success to, so we're just going to have to look at Justin Baldoni as a director. His Disney Plus movie is not counting, obviously, because it didn't get to theaters, so we're just going to talk about 5 Feet Apart, another book to movie film. It had an opening weekend $37 million over that, and it has already outgrossed that entire domestic run by $5 million. Worldwide, it is still sitting behind 5 Feet Apart by $12 million, but I mean, shit, it's going to clear that maybe tomorrow. So there you go. And yeah, I really don't have much more to add other than what I was kind of saying before. Like, a lot of people were kind of, doubting the success of this movie. And man, I bet you feel like fools now. No TikTok drama can put this movie down. I say that, but I mean, shit, I got really invested in that. And there's no clear resolution, no clear, like, black or white answer. Not that there usually is in most situations, but still, it's like, goddamn, what the fuck is going on? Look into that if you can. It's very fascinating, and it could also be nothing. Or maybe it's not. I'm leaning towards maybe it's not. Look into that, but, that didn't put it down. With Don't Worry, Darling, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of equivalent to that, just not as on a massive scale like that, I guess, because I feel like there are still many people who aren't aware that there is some kind of, drama going on. And but also this movie is going to be more financially successful than Don't Worry, Darling. So, all that aside, let's just move on with the video. Number 3 was Twisters, once again holding over incredibly well. And the thing that I have been saying as far as like, I think we're looking at like a Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes kind of run, where it's not like it's going to break every record imaginable. It may not even end up being like in the top 10 highest grossing films of the year, but it will have like a modest, like solid run. And that is still shaping up to be that. But domestically, it is just holding over so incredibly well, only having like 30 to 20% drops after it's, opening weekend and then debuting after Deadpool and Wolverine. But, last weekend, this weekend, it's holding over incredibly well, with these smaller numbers, making 15 million, adding to a domestic total of 222 million. So they only need 19 million now until they outgross the original film domestically. Worldwide, they are sitting at 310 million as of right now. So they need 185 million until they outgross the original there. But more importantly, though, and I've been saying 155 to 200 million. I've just scaled it down to 155 because it makes sense to me. Having seen the film, that number just makes sense to me. And Wikipedia also updated their thing saying like, yeah, 155. So I'm more inclined to believe that. If you just go by that number, they have officially doubled that budget. So very similar to how Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, they didn't manage to triple their $160 million budget, but they doubled it and made like 70 or 80 million over it. So it's kind of what I was saying, my comparison to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now that they have officially doubled it, they're making, a little bit more. They may not get to the triple point, considering like it's holding over really well domestically, but worldwide it's not really boosting it up much. which kind of makes sense because the movie is kind of geared more towards an American audience. I'm pretty sure. But still, like, it's doubled its budget and it's going to make a little bit more than that to show, like, there is an interest for these kind of movies. People will pay to see this, and maybe if you make another one with this cast, or if you invest in these movie stars for other things, people will show up for it. Who knows? It's just a pretty solid win all around. You know what I mean? Where you'll have your movies like Deadpool and Wolverine that go into the opening weekend and they're already like an immediate success. But then you'll have something like Twisters, which is like, the perfect kind of like box office run of like people are still seeking out that kind of movie. You know what I mean? It's like one of those IP legacy sequel whatevers that is genuinely well made and crowd pleasing, that is doing well in the theater, which is great. It's not like, Netflix releasing Beverly Hills Cop 4 and just letting it rot on the streaming. So notice how like no one's talking about that movie right now, but damn near so many people are going to see Twisters right now. You know what people aren't seeing though? Borderlands coming in at number 4. Jesus Christ. And this is what I was talking about. I was like, yeah, just the marketing hasn't been so strong with this, and fans of the game are pissed. They might not even see this movie. And, it's not like there are any reviews to go off of yet, but there are so many like production delays and problems. Like Craig Mazin, who is a writer on it, removed his name from the script. So it just, all of these things, it was just shaping up like, yeah, we're going to have a big flop here. And yeah, that's exactly what happened. It made 8.8 million for its opening weekend. There's no worldwide total yet as of when I'm recording this, so I'm not sure if that will even help. There's no way, because domestically, if you open this poorly, there's no way you can recover. I feel like, unless worldwide it's the most popular movie of all time, but if it's not taken off here, there's no way it's taking off other places. You know what I mean? Like, at the very least, something that could potentially take off other places would like open in like the double digits. This is like, like 8 million, 8.8 million. It's like, that's too fucking low, especially on a budget of 120 million. Jesus Christ. I only really have Eli Roth to compare to, so let's talk about that. For his opening weekends, it's around the opening weekends of Hostel Part 2 and Cabin Fever. It has an opening weekend 8 million over Knock Knock, which is, I'm pretty sure maybe his lowest, but 2 million below Thanksgiving, which is his other most recent film. But Thanksgiving is a much lower budget, and that kind of caught on as far as like a, kind of holiday themed slasher movie, that opened at just the right time. This is a movie that there's no way it can recover at any other point. It's not like Twisters where it opened strong and it's been able to get some other people in if people aren't interested in Deadpool and Wolverine or anything else. Like this is a movie that is getting thrashed by not just critics but even audiences. The cinema score is a D+, and genuinely, I can't remember the last time I've seen, like, nothing immediately pops out of my mind, because cinema score really only, like, for most of it will go down to like maybe a C+. I haven't seen a D in like a while. So that's how bad this is. That's how bad the reception of this is. For Eli Roth's filmography, it has outgrossed Knock Knock by 8 million and The Green Inferno by 1 million, his lowest grossing films. Now needs 9 million until it outgrosses Hostel Part 2. And, not to say that Eli Roth has like so many like box office winners, like, high grossers, highest grossing of the year, whatever. Maybe there is a chance Borderlands ends up in a spot where it's like his top 3 highest grossing films. But with numbers like these, that you can't really call that a win. You know what I mean? Anyways, goddamn. You know what the best part about this movie was for me seeing it? Was walking in the theater, sitting down, and realizing to my right were 2 of my best friends from high school. Like, total coincidence, we were seeing this god-awful movie together. It was crazy. We had a great time just, losing it that we were there together and then watching a bad movie. Anyways, number 5 is Despicable Me 4, making 8.0 million, adding to a domestic total of 330 million. So it's 6 million away from Minions now. And then finally it will enter the top 3 highest grossing films in this franchise. It's been, slow crawl to get there, but, they're making their way now. Worldwide, it is sitting at 807 million. So 8 times its 100 million initial production budget. Way to go, Illumination. Make them cheap. I say cheap as if like 100 million is like this really cheap number, but for like animation, it kind of, like with Pixar spending like 200 million on some of their projects, you know what I mean? Not to say that it's inherently bad to like save costs and, do $100 million budget, you know what I mean? But still, I feel like we've talked about it before. Illumination takes shortcuts. So many of their budgets are really low, and their movies kind of clock in the same time, and the writing feels very safe to a degree where it's like you can kind of see them in the studio room, like calculating it. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of what I mean when I bring this up. But anyways, it needs 130 million until it outgrosses Rise of Gru, so a little bit more of a slower crawling till it gets to that one. But domestically, it's about to outgross Minions, the first one. So there you go. Number 6 is Trap, though not holding over great enough to outgross Minions this weekend. It's still didn't do too poorly. It did drop a little over 50%, but it opened with a low number anyways. Made 6 million this weekend, which now adds to a domestic total of 28 million. For Blinding Edge Pictures, it did outgross The Watchers by 9 million. It now sits behind Knock at the Cabin by 7 million. Hopefully we'll see that happen next weekend. Worldwide, it is sitting at 45 million. So for Blinding Edge, 13 million over The Watchers, 9 million till Knock at the Cabin, but 15 million away from doubling its initial production budget of 30 million. So I don't know if it has the necessary momentum or word of mouth staying power to get to 90 million, which would be tripling that budget. But at the very least, if it can double it, I think that's a pretty solid spot to be, for a movie like this. So way to go, M. Night, you know what I mean? Like I was saying last weekend too, I would love another M. Night movie that just comes out and like really does well. It's not just, oh, well, it's doing fine or okay. Like I would love for it to like just go in and like make a name for itself at the box office, but that'll happen maybe sometime down the line, or maybe it won't happen, and then I'll just be sad about it. Anyways, number 7 is Inside Out 2, making 4 million, adding to a domestic total of 636 million for the all-time domestic runs list. It has outgrossed Barbie by a couple 100,000. It now needs 16 million until it outgrosses Jurassic World. And then it's in the top 10 highest grossing domestic films of all time as far as their domestic runs. So there you go. It's about to enter the top 10 there. And then worldwide, now that it's sitting at 1.593 billion, it needs 53 million until it outgrosses 2019 Lion King's number 9 spot worldwide. So domestically, it's about to enter the top 10. Worldwide, it still needs a ways to go until it progresses forward, but it is in the top 10. So either way, it's a top 10er, baby. And that's pretty amazing. It's too bad Pixar has learned all the wrong lessons from this, and now we're getting Toy Story 5, Death to iPad Kids. What is finality? You know what I mean? Maybe it's a question for another video. But what is finality? You know what I mean? Like Toy Story 3 is about, growing up and saying goodbye, and how that's good, even if it hurts, you know what I mean? Even if it's sad, it's good for new opportunities, make new experiences. And then Toy Story 4, even though someone like me was also like, I don't know if we need this, is actually a good epilogue, because it kind of paints the picture of your lead character feeling like he needs to be wanted, when really he just needs to go out and find out what it is that makes him happy, and not be so reliant on another person who doesn't care about him, you know what I mean? And it's actually a pretty good message, an unexpected one, but a pretty good epilogue. And it's a good finale, just having them drift apart. It kind of goes back to 3, where it's like, it's not goodbye, it's just a see you later, it's just for better things, because that's what is going to make them happy. Now we're going to Toy Story 5, and it just seems like it's us versus iPad Kids. And maybe they have more planned. I don't know. It's just like, what is finality, though, is what I'm saying. Like, have these great little wrap-ups, like, okay, we're closing this off. Time for some new ideas, some new stuff. That's kind of what the movies are talking about also. And instead it's just, now we're back. And whatever. I don't know why I'm talking about it with Inside Out 2. Whatever. It's fine. Can't wait for Incredibles 3 to make bank, and Toy Story 5, and Moana 2, repurposed TV show from Disney Plus, now a movie, Moana 2, and Frozen 3, potentially 4, and the live action Moana. It's just great. And the Snow White one. It's just, and then Mufasa. Oh my god. Anyways, number 8 is Heral and the Purple Crayon, wishing it had the Inside Out 2 numbers, or the Despicable Me 4 numbers, right now, making 3.1 million, adding to a domestic total of 12 million for the director, 72 million away from Ferdinand, not progressing any more than that. Worldwide, it is sitting at 15 million, which places it 245 million away from Robots. Well, yeah, not progressing any further than that. I don't even know why I'm mentioning those stats, because it's like, yeah, this slow ass crawl, it can't even like double its 40 million initial production budget. Why am I expecting it to outgross any of the director's other films? Anyways, let's move on to number 9, which is Cuckoo, which, like I was kind of saying last weekend, I was kind of expecting it to do what I thought Longlegs could have done before it, broke records and did really well. And yeah, that's kind of what happened. Not in the top 5, making 3.01 million. This is on a budget of 7 million. There's no worldwide total to boost it up as of me recording this. It only needs 14 million to clear the doubling point and be considered an initial success. So I was really hoping for just a bit more of like a strong push and people going to the theater, and that didn't really happen. But it is so low to the point where it's like maybe they don't need to necessarily double it. And you know what I mean? With Longlegs doing so well, maybe they don't need another big hit like that. Maybe the success of Longlegs can help recoup this, or whatever the fuck happens in old Hollyweird and with Neon and financing whatever. But still, it's a really good movie. Like, I saw it and I really enjoyed it. It's just this really creative, imaginative, genuinely pretty creepy horror movie, and it's original. Got some actors in there that are doing some great work. I just really wished this one could also take off to at least a sort of similar degree that Longlegs did. But speaking of which, closing out the video, number 10 is Longlegs, making 2.0 million, adding to a domestic total of 71 million. Worldwide, it is sitting at 87 million, so 3 million away from making 9 times its original budget of 10 million, but it's probably lower than that. So there you go. What a big hit. I could mention how it needs 166 million worldwide until it outgrows its Parasite, and how it's still the number 2 highest grossing neon film worldwide. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. I've been saying that it doesn't really matter at that point. It's leaving the top 10 in grace, you know what I mean? Because it's this big hit, the horror film that could. Where you wouldn't expect many people to go to the theater to see a movie like this. People did. And that's more impressive than a Deadpool and Wolverine or an or an It Ends With Us, in all honesty, at least for me. I'm biased, though, because horror. Anyways, and now it's time for the fun part with the predictions for next week's top 5. I don't know how well Dee Dee or Skincare or the Ryan's World movie is gonna do. I don't know how well marketed those films are. Maybe Ryan's World could get in the top 5, but if anything, that kind of reeks of like an Oogie Loves kind of situation where they overestimate an audience. Like, it's for kids, but none of them show up, none of them care. I really don't see many movies getting in here, but I will predict that number 1 will be a new release, which is Alien Romulus. I think Deadpool and Wolverine will dip low enough where Alien could come in there. It's kind of a going back to basics for the Alien franchise. Some people are kind of excited about that, so maybe it can get to number 1. And then number 2, I think, will be Deadpool and Wolverine. Number 3, It Ends With Us. Number 4, Twisters. Now at number 5, this might be a little crazy. In fact, it might even do better than we're expecting. But this is the only other thing other than Alien that's coming out that I think potentially could get in there, just based off of a re-release that happened last year where it did surprisingly well and the number's low enough where it could get in there. Number 5, I think, could be the new 3D remaster re-release of Coraline. There are a lot of fans for that movie, so promoting that it's been remastered and it's in a new upped quality and it's 3D as well, and maybe some other Leica fans who want to see a hint of their next project. I'm forgetting the title of it, but I think it's based on a kid's book also, but some people might be aware of that, so like, okay, yeah, I'll make the trip to see Coraline again just for that, or just for the fun of it. I think it could, once again, I don't think it will do like amazing. It could. I don't want to rule it out because stranger things have happened on the show, but I think just because, like I said, I don't know how Dee Dee's going to do, I don't know how Ryan's World is going to do, so I think out of all these, other than Alien, Coraline will have the shot to get into number 5, because I don't think Borderlands is going to do well enough to stay in the top 5. I think Coraline has a really great way of slipping in. Twisters, just as far as how that's been dropping, like in the 20-30%, whatever, it could, drop lower where Coraline could overtake it, or it could still be above it. That's kind of like the wild card as far as placing, but I'm going to go with number 5 for right now. But what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave them in the comments below, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.